if you have any questions on the individual items, I have all the department heads here. We work together on each cut, so if you want us to go down each line, I can.
Nancy, you mentioned contract for park.
Yes,
services.
and I'll find that in there.
I don't see that.
I'll look to Jeff here to show me which one it was. We have a contract with some folks to do maintenance in our ball fields.
I think
That's
that's on
one.
page 31.
That's on one of those cuts that we're talking about as well. Again, that is a service level cut to our community. But the only reason we're suggesting that is because of the lack of funds that we have available to spend money on.
Mr. Mayor, Council, currently we have a athletic field maintenance contract with Valley Crest. They provide service in a hall park to all our athletic fields. The contract expires end of May of this year. We simply wouldn't renew that and continue the maintenance with our in-house staff. It's a savings of about $84,000.
And what would the impact be in terms of?
Well, your service level on those fields would go down. The original concept was we had a maintenance worker 3 retire. We replaced that with a contract, so we actually increased the level of service on the fields for the same amount of money. Reducing that contract is basically equivalent to losing a position and a half. You're going to see maybe lawns get mowed, athletic fields once a week compared to twice a week, that type of thing.
So you don't foresee any, if council implemented that service cut in terms of safety on the fields, I know, particularly ball fields, people slide, they dig up, pitchers dig ruts in front of the
Yes, the safety level would still be a #1 priority for us and continues to be now as we check sprinkler heads for any type of safety hazard, that sort of thing. Where you may see is we may not be fertilizing on a regular basis, you may not have aeration once a month, you may mow, it may require the different athletic groups to participate in cleanup and perhaps mowing even if they so desire, a shorter infield, that sort of thing.
Okay, but you feel confident we could maintain the safety issue
Yeah, safety-wise, we would keep that as a top priority.
All right.
How many people are assigned to doing that, would be assigned to doing that duty if you pull the contract?
It's hard to say. We have 8 or 7 in our Parks Division. Once all of the adjustments are made, we may be looking at a different way of operating some of our public works during peak season. There's also some part-time mow staff that is on your list. So we would have to do some adjustments between the divisions seasonally. So I can't really answer that question right now on how many we would have to replace.
And I'll ask this question only because we do utilize some minimum custody Department of Corrections inmates that are firefighters and for our forest fires, but in the off-season they do park maintenance or they do our lighting and landscape. Is that a possibility to bring them in to do more or to take over more of the actual park maintenance?
CDF provides on a contract basis is $200 a day, and they do, as you mentioned, our landscape and lighting areas, some street projects, some park projects out in the drainage ponds. We use them as much as we can. Right now we have a budget of about $10,000 in each division, so there may be opportunities to increase that level of service. It's just a real hit and miss thing. You can't schedule them in case there's a fire, in case there's other work for them. So it's not a regular thing, but we do try and use them and maximize their service. Without that, our landscape and lighting would be much different.
Okay.
I did have a question about the furloughs. I understand how it would work for full-time employees that work in City Hall, but how would it affect police and fire as far as because I'm sure you aren't going to have no police and firemen on those days.
Sure, that's a great question. We would work with their schedules on they work shift work, and so they work sometimes 12-hour shifts or 10-hour shifts. We'd work with their shifts. In the case of fire, they work 24-hour shifts. We would work with them on their schedules. Also in the case of the Fire Association, I am still talking to them about potentially instead of them participating in the schedule issue, that they would actually, the equivalent is a 4.6% salary reduction, so coming up with the equivalent of that for that group. But as far as police goes, we would work with them on scheduling. So maybe it's 2 hours one shift, it's 2 hours another, but it would add up to 8 hours that month.
So the police and fire would be receiving then a cut in.
Absolutely. Let me just clarify, all full-time employees, including myself, will participate in a furlough program. And so, but not part-time employees, because part-time employees, first of all, they're not full-time employees and they have a different benefit structure and everything else, but all full-time employees would participate. And this would be because of the economy. Once the economy turns around, we would reinstate everyone. We would eliminate the furlough program, okay? That would be my recommendation, and I'll have that in a resolution, but clearly, this is economy-driven issue, okay? We've gone from $16 million down to $13.8 million. That's a dramatic decrease in revenues.
I understand that, but when the economy drops, one thing that rises is crime.
Sure.
And so
Sure.
the response time would be affected as far as police and everything with that as well.
Well, I think the chief can address whether response times will be an issue. Let's do that.
The hours should not be impacted. Many of the officers are already taking vacation hours and so forth. Captain Welch, who oversees field operations, has already had discussions with all the patrol supervisors. As long as we have flexibility and not have to close down one day a month, and as long as we have the flexibility of 96 hours per year, we can do so without maintaining or impacting, we can do so without impacting the street level staffing issue. Schedule adjustments, patrol staffing, detectives would be rotating out to backfill shifts. We have flexibility within our MOU to allow that to happen. So I don't feel it will be an impact to response times.
You just go to flexible scheduling then?
We have a flexible scheduling. We have, as the city manager explained, some officers may be doing 2 hours a week for 45 weeks. Some may choose, I've had officers already tell me, instead of taking a week of paid vacation, they're not concerned about it. They will take a week of unpaid for their primary vacation versus doing that. We give time off already. It's just more of a scheduling issue, more of an issue for the watch commander, the patrol captain, to be able to track it. And it's scheduling, but we can do it. And I don't feel it will impact any type of response time.
Will this kind of scheduling impact injured officers in terms of not being able to work, and then you're down that position and have to worry about an overtime situation?
Well, we already have an overtime already. Obviously, if I have 2 or 3 officers that get injured all at once, then yeah, it's going to be a different type of ballgame. Again, this is not losing additional staffing, maintaining the staffing level we have besides the one that we're already currently frozen. Shouldn't be an issue. But if I do get 2 or 3 officers at one time that go down injured, then we have a different story. Bottom line, captains are committed. I'm committed while I'm here. I can't speak for the new chief once they get here. We will be pulling patrol shifts. I've done it in the past. The captains will be doing it as well. So we will adjust and we will do what we have to do.
But they are suggesting that they're going to cut a CSO position and reduce the hours. So they are going to be cutting positions then.
The recommendation of the proposal right now before you is reducing a half-time CSO position that oversees, at this point in time, our ATOD programs. That's all that community service officer does, is the alcohol, tobacco, other drugs program. Those programs will continue. That CSO is not out on patrol, it's not out on the street with some other full-time employee. The other 2 CSO positions are being recommended to be reduced by 0.25, which is 10 hours a week. We will still have CSOs out on the street 6 days a week versus 7 days a week. That's the only big difference on those reductions. Any other questions I can answer for you?
That's it. So far. Council?
Are we going to hear what people have to say?
Yeah, we'll get to that. I just want to make sure council has an opportunity to ask any further questions before we go to that. Okay?